The Seabee repair barges proved a godsend after the storm. They, too, had been towed across the channel. Operations on the repair barge never ceased. Day and night this activity continued. No job was too big or too small. No questions were asked. All jobs were done as received. No atheists in foxholes, no favorites at the repair barge. A second artificial harbor had been created by the British at Aromanche. This beach, miles to the eastward of the American beach, had natural protection, which was totally missing at the American beach. The units making up the artificial harbors were identical at each beach. By reason of its orientation and number of units in place, it was not so badly damaged by the storm. These views were made after the storm, when the harbor was running normally. These are the Lobnitz pierheads at Aromanche, almost a mile offshore from the high tide mark. The ships are coasters. Reinforced by equipment salvaged from Omaha, this harbor was handling large tonnages of cargo. This is a Rhino ferry taking cargo from a Liberty ship. 32 Rhinos were used on Utah and Omaha. All of them were built and operated by the Seabees. After we began grounding LSTs on the two American beaches, the Rhinos were used exclusively as lighters for the Liberty ships. Beginning with D-Day, the Rhinos have been in continuous operation. Battered by storms and hard usage, they are readily repaired and restored to duty. They are a patient, long-suffering beast of burden, with no ambitions beyond continuous operation. Each Rhino carries an average of 80 vehicles per trip from ship to shore. One Rhino can discharge the full load of an LST in 2 trips. The 2 outboard engines on the Rhino propelled the big barges at a speed of about 3 knots. Waders and bulldozers met the Rhinos at the beach. The problem with the Rhinos was to prevent their drying out at the beach. If a Rhino dried out, it was out of operation for at least 6 hours because of the recedence of the tide, leaving the Rhino high and dry. Unloading at causeways avoided this necessity for drying out. The Rhino control post on the beach. Bulldozers were used to help the Rhino retract. The time has come when the bulldozer also can be classed as an amphibious unit. The Navy's famous 1006 pontoon detachment handled the causeways on both Omaha and Utah beaches. The flat beaches required an entirely new causeway technique. Instead of allowing the causeways to float, as we did at Sicily, Salerno, and Anzio, we sank the causeways to their entire length of 2,100 feet. Here, the Seabees of 1006 are bringing the causeway sections in at high tide and sinking them. Speed of placing and readiness for use is one of the great advantages of the pontoon causeways. All forms of landing craft up to LCTs use the causeways. Vehicles which had not been waterproofed could be delivered dry to the beach over the causeways. At Utah Beach, the 81st Seabee Battalion operated Rhino ferries and established the Navy camp for all Navy personnel. As at Omaha, the camp became a transient home for thousands of GIs. Commander Jack Greenewalt of Chicago, shown here in his captured German car, was in charge of the Seabees at Utah, arriving on D-Day. Commander Hollis, executive officer of the 81st, is at left, and Dr. Anderson, battalion physician. The camp at Utah was more reinforced foxholes. These foxholes were improved daily, and much ingenuity was exhibited in the manner of providing so-called personal comforts. And even here, good old Navy chow was to be had. They call it spam. At Cherbourg, the 28th Seabee Battalion handled naval construction and repair. This is the main pier with the wrecked railroad station, accomplished by exploding railroad cars loaded with TNT. The French line dock. Here the Normandy docked in peacetime, and here passengers entrained for Paris, the scene of many happy occasions, which, through the fortunes of war, will never be exactly duplicated again. A German chart of the harbor at Cherbourg. Possible points of attack were zeroed for the coastal guns. This German hospital in Cherbourg was reconditioned by the 28th Battalion. Many of our wounded paratroopers found treatment in this hospital, now a modern and up-to-date institution in all respects. Le Place Napoleon. The statue of Napoleon was a casualty of the street fighting.